Values for both Western and Eastern culture rarely see eye to eye on most things, whether it be social norms, religion, or political beliefs. So there's always bound to be friction between the two when they cross paths. Think of it as like a West Side Story on a global scale. The Eastern world is generally comprised of nations in Asia, including the Middle East, whereas the Western world refers to North and South America, Europe, Australia, and New Zealand. And here are just a few examples about what make these cultures stand out from one another. When looking at how each culture deals with relationships, it comes down to equality versus hierarchy. Western culture is all about putting everybody together on equal ground regardless of age, status, or position in terms of social respect for one another. But Easterners tend to ignore those social distinctions and feel that it's disrespectful and rude not to acknowledge one's place within society. When looking at how cultures deal with time, it's all about task focus versus event focus. Think of it like this. Westerners are like the white rabbit from Alice in Wonderland, always finding ways to save time and spend time as efficiently as possible in order to get the task at hand complete. For Easterners, focusing exclusively on specific tasks for periods of time is seen as disrespectful to others and are more inclined to be more event-focused, basically using most of the time to build strong relationships with their friends, family, and community. And when looking at the differences of how they value speech, it all comes down to honesty versus harmony. Westerners are urged to communicate the truth, getting the point across as fast as possible, and move on with their day. But to Westerners, this style is viewed as rude and shows a lack of respect for that individual. Instead, Easterners value harmony within their speech, opening up to listen to whatever the person has to say and build upon a relationship with that individual. When looking at how cultures value money, it all comes down to independence versus patronage. Westerners are all about striving towards financial independence because being dependent can be viewed as a moral deficiency within society. For Easterners, an unwillingness to share resources comes across as stingy and even immoral. Often the wealthy provide security and stability to people in exchange for loyalty and praise, but for Westerners, this quote-unquote act of kindness can be viewed as a form of social corruption. Now with the basic value comparisons out of the way, time to get into a more cinematic point of view. When looking at Western and Eastern values within the film industry, I'm going to be restricting the boundaries of Western culture to North American films, excluding Mexico for domestic box office purposes. Lo siento gente de Mexico. And as for representation for Eastern culture, we'll mainly be focusing on Asian cinema. That will include China, Korea, and Japan. From what I've researched, there are three major differences between Western and Eastern modern cinema, that being the difference in the film's subject matter, narrative structure, and use of technology. Asian cinema is all about culture, tradition, and beliefs being embedded within their films, so that audiences outside of Asian countries garner a better understanding of their way of life. And there's a lot of variety within Asian cinema, with all the microcultures of Asia expressing their voice to the global market through the film medium. Many Asian filmmakers are well known for making low-cost artistic films that delve into more personal/cultural themes, which tend to alienate most foreign markets. But also they aren't afraid to push the boundaries of cinema when delivering films with high adrenaline action or even large-scale fantasy epics. On the other hand, Hollywood is all in when it comes to developing big blockbuster movies that then lead to potential sequels, adapting established franchises, while attaching the biggest talent in front and behind the camera, making it easier to target a broad audience and rake in as much cash as possible. But that's not to say Hollywood doesn't care for or want to make smaller films for the masses to enjoy. In fact, more original films are being made today than in any other time in film history. The only difference is that most original films don't have the brand recognition, mass appeal, or huge marketing budgets for audiences to give a damn. I mean, you try promoting a film in 2019 about a little boy whose imaginary friend is Hitler.
People used to say a lot of nasty things about me. Oh, this guy's a lunatic. Oh, look at that psycho. He's gonna get us all killed.
Yeah, not an easy sell. When comparing the technological and productive aspects of North American and Asian cinema, it all varies depending on the type of film presented to the audience. Since the 20th century, the film industry has rapidly developed. The movie-going experience has become essential daily entertainment for most. The process of filmmaking is often determined to be influenced by what goes on in the local culture. And with North America having the most diverse audience, as well as having the largest movie market in the world by box office revenue, Hollywood is prone to deliver more high-quality blockbusters for larger audiences. However, China isn't too far behind in box office revenue, and may soon take over the top spot within the next 5 years. So it's no surprise that North American films are doing their best to make sure that their films feel more inclusive to the global market, compared to Asian films which often feel more exclusive, imbuing cultural themes that don't translate well to foreign audiences. Although here in the North American film industry, we try to do our best to make Asian culture more acceptable in the mainstream. There are many Hollywood films today that take influence from Asian artistry, so much so that there are countless remakes/westernized versions of original Asian material that have gone on to reach the same amount, if not more success, than their Asian counterparts. For example, The Departed, directed by Martin Scorsese, won the Best Film and the Best Director awards for the 2007 Oscars. And as it turns out, That film was the remake of the Hong Kong film Internal Affairs, which came out 4 years prior and tells the exact same story. Sometimes imitation is the best form of flattery. Other successful Hollywood reimaginings include Seven Samurai being adapted into The Magnificent Seven, Ringu being adapted into The Ring, and of course, how could you forget about Japan's most iconic monster of all time, Godzilla. But like all movies, not every adaptation is going to be guaranteed a bona fide hit. Case in point, pretty much every live-action anime film ever. Ultimately, a movie's success depends on you, the audience. The total amount of money at the box office lets studios know what you care about seeing opening night versus what you feel is a waste of time. People from different places all around the world are going to have different expectations and preferences when going to see a film. Down to what language the film is it in color, how long is it, who's cast in it, etc., etc. Films from all around the world aren't going to be able to please everybody, but I believe cultural values are very much essential when it comes to the art of filmmaking, as it reflects our way of life as it is, as it was, and as it could be. Thank you for watching.